Start the recording. Hey, everybody. This is Empaths in Crisis. Again, we'll just talk a little bit. It'll be like just a general webinar. There's no pitch here. There's nothing to sell. I just want to do my part. You know, I don't make money to help people. I mean, I make money to help people. I don't, help people to make money. That's kind of what I've been working on. So this is just something because I deal with it. My wife especially, she's very empathic, much more than I am. And we'll get to why that is in a moment. But I want to do a general fun thing. And then there's a couple of little demos in it that I hope you take and use. If you're familiar with it, great. If not, it might be something new, or like a lot of the stuff I run into, it's stuff I used to do. It gets put on the back burner. And then I go, oh yeah, what about that? When somebody reminds me of it, kind of like when we started, I had that song playing, Buffalo Springfield, and how things keep coming back around. Anyway, so we'll just do that. And then at the end, I'll open it up for questions, answers, and comments. And we can decide if we want to record the questions, answers, or comments or not. I don't care, as a group, we can decide. But I'm going to record the webinar part. It's being recorded now. So today we're going to talk about empaths in crisis. Quick review. My contact info is my main website's NFNLP. I do Twitter. Dr. Will at Real NLP, and I think I also have one called Cowboy Doc. Instagram is Dr. Will Horton. I always forget my Facebook, but it's just look me up on Facebook. And if you're not on my mailing list, please go to NFNLP and join. If you are on my mailing list and you unsubscribed or got off for whatever reason, I always remind people, because an internet marketer guy told me to do this, that I can't put you back on. You need to go and re-sign up, something with the rules. So anyway, let's have some fun with this. So what happens is this and I see it, is in times of crisis, you feel overwhelmed, exhausted, depressed, and emotionally volatile. You blow up at the drop of a hat. Living here in Florida, we have crisis occasionally, like at least once or twice a year with hurricanes, and I'm not. Other parts of the country have it with other, natural disasters, as they're called. What about other disasters? Someone in your family's passing away, divorce, job loss, all these other things, and of course, what we're going through now. So we all have that. We can be there, and it seems to impact people differently. If you're highly empathic, you have a tendency to experience more health problems, right? Which, of course, with this supposed epidemic going around, it can make it even worse. But what happens with empaths, we all know, we start to feel responsible for other people's feelings and their well-being. It's almost like I can't be happy unless everybody else is happy, which you just set yourself up for total failure, because there are some people that just don't want to be happy. So, but research says that it says 1 to 2% of the population is empathic. If that's a general rule, I don't know where they got their numbers, but it depends what group you run in. Like any kind of rapport, empaths hang out with empaths. Certain careers are more empathic, and we'll talk about that real quick, and then we'll do the demos. And I always say, as within, so without. And in a time of crisis, when the external stuff is in crisis and people are in fear, anger, resentment, all the things going on, anger, all of those things, it'll change your internal representations and your internal state, which will change your external behavior, which could feed into the anger, fear, and resentment, and it becomes that feedback loop, right? And part of this is just the way that we're trained in our own minds. And what happens with empaths in general is it's hard to differentiate between your own body feelings and other people's feelings. Usually, empaths have great reserves of strength and stamina. They can literally go years lavishing energy and support and stuff on other people. But then when it catches up to them, they seem to collapse, right? And especially if they don't have a downtime. And what's going on right now is we don't have a downtime. Excuse me while I drink my bulletproof coffee. And so that's also, it's an overload factor. It's constant, it's everywhere. I know here in Florida, I'll use this example when there's like a hurricane and things happen. If you retreat to your house and your power's on and everything, at least then it becomes like a place to regroup and reset, as you know, after the storm passes, and people are rebuilding all that. But what's going on now, we've been forced to retreat to our house, which is a different mindset. And we're totally alienated from support networks, maybe, right? And so that's why we can reach an internal crisis point. And again, certain careers draw empathic people. Artists are empathic. My other big thing, as a lot of you know, is acting. But actors, singers, painters, writers are usually empathic because they'll get into the feelings of it. And a good artist will transfer those feelings to you when you see a moving performance or hear a song that moves you, read a work that moves you. Believe it or not, lawyers can start out empathic. They may not stay empathic, but usually most people get into law because they want to, you know, change society, change this, change that, right? And we could do a whole thing on how certain professions beat empathy out of you, you know, but as social workers, healthcare, hospice work, all have a tendency to draw empathic people. And of course, all of us that are in the hypnosis, NLP, substance abuse world the people that do it for a living are very empathic, and you want to help other people because somewhere in you have this driving belief that by helping other people, I help myself. And some of it, like in the 12-step world, even in some of the therapy modes, that is ingrained in the belief set that you learn. By helping others, I help myself, right? Same with charity work. But if you give too much, you burn out. You know, it's why people in therapy have a tendency to burn out. Empaths are usually super sensitive to TV, videos, movies, news, broadcasts. And of course, you know, violence or emotional dramas will shock you and make you do that. If you ever watch a movie with an empath and something's going on, like violence, or it's something, my wife and I were watching, what were we watching last night? Stranger Things. And something was going on. She kept having to turn away. You know, I'll just cringe, but she'll actually have to turn away, right? We were watching the rodeo the other night, right? And one of the old world champ, we're into rodeos. We have horses, and watching the guys doing the bull riding, and it was so funny watching my wife. She was like, you know, when the guys are getting thrown off the bull. But and then one guy kind of got hurt when he got off. You saw him limping, and you know, my wife almost teared up over it. She's more empathic than I am, but that's why it is, right? Even in a movie, we can't comprehend some of the cruelty. I can watch certain things, I can't watch other things. But what happens with an empath is you have a core feeling of feeling responsible for other people's happiness and well-being, right? Again, a lot of us, that's maybe why it's why I became an alcohol and drug counselor. I wanted to help other people get sober. Why? It helped me. I wanted to help other people. I think it's why I wanted to be an actor. Movies impact people, or your performance. If it's good, it impacts people, right? But what begins to happen, you start feeling other people's feelings as a default way of functioning, right? And usually you feel so much and so intently, you can't disengage from it. It's one of the reasons highly empathic people have a tendency to be drawn to narcissists, because there's emotion. Excuse me, and emotion is addicting, right? The emotional roller coaster. And again, there's no judgment here. It's just, these are things that some of the research and some of the things that have been pointed out. But one of the first things we have to do is, you know, is begin to give yourself permission, because we have a tendency as empaths, and therapists have this, we always think that we can and should do more. We can and should do more, you know? And so it's hard to let go of the guilt and shame of not doing enough. Did I do enough? You know, did I do enough? You know, that's why they teach clinical detachment in like graduate psychotherapy programs. If you're going to become a, you know, psychologist, or medical doctors learn that feeling of clinical detachment, because if you're constantly in, did I do enough? Did I do enough? You know, you'll you know, hindsight's always 20/20. So the other thing, you have to give yourself permission to let go of that game and shill. Yes, I speak for a living. Guilt and shame. It's a tough day. Guilt and shame of not doing enough, you know? And part of that is knowing your limits, you know? A lot of us have trouble knowing our limits. What's my limit, right? You know, I finished military training on a broken foot. I don't know. In retrospect, it probably was not smart. But you know, because part of it, our culture pushes people to push their limits, push those limits, break those limits. Limits are this, but sometimes maybe you have a limit you just got to respect. You know, like I can't do this anymore, right? I'll self-disclose one I've came to. You know, I've been doing trainings, you know, in NLP and hypnosis for 30 years or more than 30 years. I hate to admit that, right? Started in the mid 80s. It was easy. I could go to a training, you know, I'd be doing a training. I get up early, go work out at the health club, you know, slide in, do the training for 8, usually 10 hours, maybe 12. And then, you know, go out afterwards and hang out with people for a little while and then go to bed and repeat. And it jazzed me, right? But I've matured. How's that for a reframe, everybody? I've matured that can't quite do that like I used to, you know? I have to know when my what my limits are, right? And set those personal boundaries. I apologize, my watch. Turn my phone off, but I always forget to turn my watch off. So you have to set those boundaries, you know? And sometimes, and this is tough for us, we have to accept that some people, when I say must hurt, maybe a different frame in our mind is some people choose to be where they are. And it isn't my job to bring them out of it, you know? And of course, a lot of us on this call, most of us on this call, you know, if you're therapists and that, and people are coming to you, there's that. But we've all had those clients that they don't want to change. You know, they I don't know if you want to call it secondary gain or tertiary gain or whatever, but some people love their misery. You know, Tony, my dear friend Tony Robbins says, you know, problems is the #1 addiction in the world. People become addicted to their problems. And when you get rid of one problem, they'll have to create another problem, right? I mean, are we seeing it on a macro level that, oh, this fall, there's going to be a second wave. There's going to be a second wave. Well, you know, in my limited time on this planet, I know that we get flus and respiratory illnesses in the spring going into the summer. It seems to drop, and it comes back in the fall. It has to do with, you know, the CO2 in the air, and how, you know, in the fall when the leaves fall, you're much more predisposed to respiratory infections. That's been known. Very few people talk about that, you know, but it's going to go. But I mean, if you're addicted to the problem of what's going on, oh, see, there's another reason. So, but can you accept that other people are going to be where they are? And I think of that because if not, you will burn yourself out, right? And what happens is we're often not in our bodies. Empaths have, you know, we get into the feeling of what other people are feeling, so we disassociate from ourselves. We don't even know what we're feeling, right? It's why you have a tendency to see, you know, therapists that don't take care of themselves, you know, doctors that don't take care of their health. It's the, what is it, the shoemaker without shoes and all that kind of stuff, right? And know that it's okay. You have to know that it's okay to feel what you feel. And this is a stretch for empaths. What am I feeling in this situation? Is it, and give yourself to bring that awareness into your body, and give yourself permission to feel whatever it is you're feeling. Right now, a lot of people are in fear and terror. What if you're not in fear and terror? Is that okay? You could step into their fear and terror, but what if you choose not to, right? Whatever it is, right? And I've heard it described that being an empath is like having a tattoo. You can remove it, but there's always a little bit of an imprint underneath it, you know? So, you know, it's always just underneath the surface, because maybe it was installed in you when you were quite young, or maybe it's just the way you are. It's part of your DNA. Who knows? We don't know these things, right? So the first thing we have to do, the first step, is permission to help yourself. When was the last time you gave permission to help yourself? And so here's our first little technique. I want you to take a deep breath, and whichever hand you want to use, take your thumb, right? And touch one of your other fingers, maybe not your first finger, maybe like your little finger, and give yourself permission to help yourself, right? And give yourself permission to feel whatever it is you're feeling in this situation that we're going through, right? To give yourself that permission. You know, and what I want you to do is close your eyes, and with your wholeness, as we all know, it's your anchor, right? And so just find that feeling of, it's okay to help myself, and it's okay to feel whatever I'm feeling, regardless of what other people are feeling, right? And if you feel any experience of guilt or shame, that, hey, I'm in a great freaking mood right now. I'm like where we are right now. But let's say, if you were walking into a grocery store and you see people all terrified with the mask and the gloves and goggles, and they're freaking out, and they're, have a spritzer bottle of everything. That's great. That's for them. But you choose to, I don't feel that way. Is it okay? And if you start to feel guilty, like, oh, maybe I'm wrong. If you start hearing that little voice, maybe I'm wrong. Right? What I want you to do is take a deep breath, close your eyes, fire that anchor of giving yourself permission to feel it. And if you feel any guilt, shame about that, drop down through that feeling. See what's underneath that feeling. See what's holding that feeling up, And as you drop down through it, maybe you begin to like have flashes of things from your past, like when you were little, you were told to always respect other people's feelings, you always should help other people, which is a great thing. So if those kind of things start coming up, you can acknowledge those and and give them permission. But you're not, what we learn at 5 or 6 is different than when we're in our 30s, 40s, whatever age we are, because we realize as adults, people are going to feel what they're going to feel. And that, like we learn on an airplane, put your own mask on first before you try to put your mask on other people. You can't give away something you don't have. Right? So drop down through that guilt, drop down underneath it, and drop down through that. And as you do, I want you to forgive, take a deep breath and forgive that younger you for maybe mislearning something, or all the people that might have installed it, teachers, parents, authority figures, society in general, because they didn't install the nuances of caring, but not caring so much you end up killing yourself. Or being empathetic is fine, but being so empathetic it damages your health may not be, right? So forgive yourself and everyone around you as you connect with your higher self at this level. Great. Now open your eyes, right? And so that's the first thing. First, it's you got to give yourself permission to feel what you're feeling. And what if you don't know what to feel? That's the other thing that begins to happen. If you're empathetic, or you're in a situation you don't know what to feel, you'll look around to the people around you to judge what you should feel, right? Good example would be when you're in a situation you've never been in, you may not be, you don't know what to feel yet, right? And so you'll get your cues, your reticular activating system, by the people around you. How are they responding, right? If they're responding one way, you'll have a tendency to respond that way, right? If you, in the military, that's why they always train you, the leaders, to be calm. When the horrible stuff's going on, if your leaders are calm and it's the first time you've seen combat, or first time you've jumped out of an airplane, and you look around and, okay, the captain's calm, the sergeant's calm, a couple of the other guys are calm, well, then I'll be calm. If everybody's freaking out, you're going to freak out, right? And it'll ripple through. Military studies, that's what leadership is all about, and it kind of ripples through. Same with medical things, right? The way they train medical doctors to remain calm, right? Somebody comes in, even if they're in a horrible shape, they're trained to be calm, to respond, to calm the person on the table and maybe the family around them, right? So that's what we do. But what happens when you don't know how to respond? And that's what's happening here. That's what happened. We go back, was it now 12 weeks ago? In March, when all this started happening, people didn't know how to respond. So they defaulted to looking for how are other people responding, right? And it depends, and that's fine. It's just kind of interesting, right? And so maybe we responded one way. And if you're empathetic, you don't just pick up the empathy, the feelings around the people around you. You step into those feelings, you know? So if you walk into the highly charged emotional event, that people are angry, people are depressed, that energy builds. We see that with, you know, rallies and, you know, whatever it is, whether it's sports or politics, all this other stuff, right? So, you know, the first thing, going back to what we just did, is give yourself permission to help yourself first, to put your own mask on first, right? And if you start feeling guilty because you're not feeling what seems like this whole group is feeling, drop down through it and see where it is and connect with your higher self, whatever your higher self is, right? And forgive all the people around you, including the people that maybe in your opinion are overreacting one way or the other, right? So that you're going to drop down through it, right? Excuse me, my phone just somehow turned itself back on. So let me turn it on. I apologize for that. There we go. Cool. So you have that. So once you do that, and now realizing that, so now we're going to do, basically it's heart breathing, right? But we're going to do it a little bit differently. And, you know, you can go take training from the Heart Math Institute, right? And it's all about coherence between your heart and your mind. Great. Dr. Joe Dispenza, if you're into his stuff, he, a lot of his stuff is a lot, it uses heart math at its core, right? He's added a little bit of meditation to the heart breathing, but it works. But the research says if you practice this, just in general, you get an improvement in your focus, in your sleep, in your calmness, yada, 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 right? But if we do it in a certain way, which we're going to do now to add to this anchoring that we did, it can help you if you're empathetic when you're in this current world environment where a lot of people are freaking out, right? So here's what I want you to do. We're going to do our heart-based breathing where you put your hand on your chest, and then on your other hand, you'll fire your anchor, right? With your, that we're just doing the forgiveness and drop down through. And we're going to do heart-based breathe. Yes, I speak for a living. Whew, tough group. I'm here till Thursday. Tell your friends. So we're going to do that, but I want you to visualize as you're breathing in through your heart, you're also breathing in energy, and we're going to do it from the earth up through this way. Some people, you can do it the other way, but let's do it from the earth up through, and it kind of creates this kind of effect. I like this picture. It kind of represents it. So you're giving yourself an energy shield. This is to give yourself an energy shield, right? Where you could be safe in whatever it is you're feeling. Maybe you're feeling nothing. You're walking into the grocery store. Some people seem to be freaking out. And let's say you're like me, if you're one of the ones walking around with no mask, and few people might shoot you dirty looks. But if you're safe in your own space, you know, it's like I did a post this morning. When you have no enemy within, the enemies with, there is no enemies without, because they can't fire anything off in you, you know? And so you can begin to put out the kind of energy you want other people to have, whether that's love or forgiveness or to find joy or relaxation, you know? So some of these people, like the other day, I had to do this. I told this story the other day. I was getting bird food at the pet store, and you know, I picked up the bird food and I go to get in line. There's a couple people in line. This one lady was there. She had a real big, thick, looked like 2 masks, goggles, double gloves. God love her, right? And I come around the corner and I see her, and she looked at me, and it wasn't fear in her eyes. That's what really got to me. It was terror. You know? And I've seen terror in people's eyes. I've seen terror for your life in people's eyes. And it was that. And, you know, I'm like, and then she looked at me and she looked at the person because she wanted to step that way, but there was somebody there. And, you know, maybe she had a compromised immune system. I don't know, but it was like, and I started to feel that terror. Right. And I thought, nope. So I kind of did this little technique, took a couple of deep breaths, and just tried to just surround myself with this. I just choose like love, you know, and happiness. Like, you know, if she could be that way, that's also going to strengthen your immune system. You know, that, you know, when you're in terror, first thing that shuts down is your immune system. It sends all your blood to your extremities to keep you alive, to put you in combat mode. So I thought maybe that would be a little bit more. I don't know. I could visualize that. And in my own head, I do that little thing where by doing this, which we'll do in a moment, I'm putting my own mask on, you know? So then, you know, I would be a better resource for anyone that needs it or wants it. So, and all heart-based breathing is, if you've never taken the training from Heart Math Institute, and they have some free online, or you could take the formal training. It's very simple. You kind of put one hand on your chest and you imagine you actually like breathing in and out through your heart. And you begin to imagine that it's aligning or creating a coherence between your heart and your head, right? Because many times we'll have thoughts in one area, but our emotions are in another area. And so you kind of imagine this. But the way we're just going to add this, where you're breathing up, it's kind of an Indian shaman thing. You're breathing up from the earth through your body, and it goes out and surrounds you. Some of it goes up to your higher self, up to the gods, up to the universe, and the rest kind of encircles you in this bubble. And it's a two-phase bubble. There's a very close bubble to you. That's like a very close energy shield. And then it gives you a bigger bubble around you. I quick aside before we do the technique, I'm respectful of other people's times. I was at a martial arts training where one of the trainings, they taught you to open your energy up kind of this way. So you could tell when people were stepping into your energy field from afar. So if they were coming in, you know, and as they got closer, it would, if you could imagine, it would press in this energy. So you'd be cognizant of where people are. It was a pretty cool technique. It really hooked me on the power of doing this. So what if we do that? And so you're putting your mask on, you're creating your energy bubble, and then filling it with whatever emotion that you think would be better, not just for you, maybe for everybody around you. And this is a personal thing. So let's do this technique again. Fire your anchor like this. Great. Take a deep breath. Close your eyes. Place your other hand on your chest and take a few deep breaths. And as you do, imagine you're breathing up through the balls of your feet, and it's up, and the energy comes up through the balls of your feet, all the way up through your spine, up your spine, ripples through every cell of your body, shoots out your head, and it envelops you like that picture we looked at with a whole bubble, a double level bubble, one very close to you, very strong, and one out a little bit farther. And you can choose what emotion you want to breathe in. Maybe it's just being coherent and calm. Maybe it's love. Maybe it's happiness. Maybe it's joy, but you choose what would work for you. And what I want you to do is this energy coming up from the bowels of the earth. Imagine coming out of the balls of your feet and a portal opening all the way down to the bowels of the earth. And what's in deep in the earth? There's magma, there's uranium, which can create an atomic bomb. There's plutonium, there's gold, there's diamonds, there's silver, there's oil, there's natural gas, there's power there. And we're of this earth. So you can breathe in. As you breathe in what you need from the earth in this terrestrial plane that we're in. It has the things that you need to protect yourself, the vitamins, the minerals, the things that you can create your own vaccine against all this negativity. What if you could create your own vaccine against this? The viruses of the earth, because it's here. And if you use the protection in this terrestrial plane that we're in, right? And then you even bring in more from the esoteric and the higher self. That's the double level shield. The shield closest to you is the shield of your invincible internal self. And the shield on the outside is from the earth, giving you the kind of things that you need. So you breathe in deep, like on a 3 or 4 count, hold for a couple. And as you exhale, that's when this whole energy bubble double encircles you. So you breathe in and you add in that whatever emotion it is that you want, whether I choose love and calmness with a little bit of humor, because that's me. And hold it. And as you exhale out, right? And as you're doing all this, you also send back love and forgiveness to yourself from the past. Maybe you overreacted. Maybe you got into negative feelings that you look back on and wish you hadn't. So forgive yourself. So breathe in and feel that. And imagine this bubble. First, the bubble closest to you is your true guardian self from your higher self, this energy, this love. And also surrounded by all the things from this terrestrial plane that we're in, because you can draw from the universe the things that you need to help you be happy, joyous, and free. So take a few more deep breaths. And so now I want you to begin to think, maybe just by touching your thumb to whichever finger you choose and taking a couple deep breaths, you can, it's almost like you're putting on your mask on an airplane. It's almost like you're breathing in that love and trust and whatever it is that you need or want. And you can do this without a formal thing. And each time you do it, it becomes stronger and stronger. So go ahead and open your eyes. Come on back. All right. And so really what we're doing here is you're learning to moderate, being overly empathetic, because it can be like an addiction, because highly charged emotional events can become addictive. That's why a lot of us like highly charged emotional events, whether, the endorphin rush when you do certain things. And an empathetic feeling can become somewhat addictive because it gives us insight as therapists or writers or doctors or actors. So we don't want to lose it all, but we want to learn to moderate it, right? And so, if it's causing problem, or some of your clients or customers, they may have this without knowing what it is. They just, because we're constantly surrounded by all this stuff. And so it's your choice to prevent empathy overload. You can learn to moderate it. You can learn to live with it and have fun with it, right? And change it when you need to. Sometimes you can create an off switch, that's what a lot of the training does. You can be very empathetic at times, and then there are times maybe you have to turn it off because you have to make certain decisions, right? Who knows? This is up to you, right? And we did that visualization technique. That's what we did, right? And that's this visualization technique with the heart-based breathing will add a level to you. And again, this is my contact info. nfnlp.com is the main website. Twitter, Dr. Will at Real NLP. Instagram is Dr. Will Horton. I also have my addiction program, fastaddictionrecovery.com, or aasolve.com. And then we have NFNLP again. So that's it for the just fun webinar, quick technique for people to use, have some fun with. Again, there's no sales pitch. I don't have an empathy training. Maybe I should put one together. So I'll open it up. Does anybody have any comments or things they would like to say really quickly?
I do.
Yep.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Who?
Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead, whoever said it.
Well, I just wanted to say that it really hits close to home and is so applicable, especially the self-forgiveness and I mean, it's universal, I think, for everyone, no matter what you're going through, because there's always something very personal that's kind of bringing you down and tiring you out.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, that was great.
Carolyn. Any other comments? No? Renee?
I was going to say that when you have this, I'll call it a gift, even though I think it's a curse. It is learning how to stay in check with yourself when you're working with others doing hypnosis work, to not get too attached and intertwined. So that is obviously something that I need to keep reminding myself of. Yeah, but it is a gift. I mean, it's good to do this work and have that ability, because there's people out there who can't quite get the connection and the understanding, right? They're almost too detached. There's extremes, right? It's finding that middle ground.
Yeah, and it depends what you do. If you're a
Yeah.
neurosurgeon or a heart surgeon, the nature of that work makes you detached.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, so it's kind of interesting. Cool. Yeah. Well, it's like, what is it?
So-
I was lucky, real quick. It's like one of the first things I learned in therapy in general, and that comes from addiction, was I can't want the outcome more than the client does. You know, it's like they don't want to get sober. It's the old, if they're ready, I won't say anything wrong. If they're not ready, I won't say anything right. And kind of Milton Erickson had a saying kind of like that. You know, when a client was really ready, he was a genius. When they weren't ready, he was an asshole. You know, one of his old talks, he kind of said that. And he goes, it doesn't matter to him either way, you know. So, because he's real quick, if you watch some of his old stuff, he was a good example of how he would slide into empathy and then retreat out to making clinical things, making clinical decisions, if you will.
Mhm.
Anyway, I digress. Anyone else?
Other than
Yeah,
heart math, sorry.
That's
Are there any other resources or things you would recommend for
Yeah.
empaths or other practitioners who have these abilities to use?
Well,
to
yeah,
look into,
I
besides
don't-
heart math.
heart math seems like from the stuff I've seen, Joe Dispenza's works pretty good,
Okay.
you know? So, yeah, cool. Thank you.
Would you please put up the slide on moderation again? It was
I
like
front-
one of the very end ones. It was
Okay.
right towards the end.
Yep. I probably can do that if I click on the right button. Yep.
So I started NLP to help my patients because I work in dentistry, and I thought that I could help a lot of my patients that had such a phobia of going to the dentist to relax while they were in my chair. And I ended up with the NLP really helping myself. I didn't realize that I too was an empath and that I would take on a lot of their feelings if they were very overwhelmed. I'd be able to help them, but then I would start to feel very overwhelmed. So I needed to, patient after patient after patient, not burn myself out, to keep that calmness and like pull myself down and do the NLP techniques and EFT tapping to recenter myself and regroup and recharge my batteries so I didn't get so drained throughout the day.
Cool.
Good job.
Cool. Thank you. And there's the moderation slide. Can you see it?
Yes, thank
Okay.
you.
Can you send
I'm here to serve. Wait, let me do my
We
thing.
love it.
I feel your pain. Let me help you. Let me help you. As Bill Clinton said, if you can fake sincerity, you've got it beat. You know.
Dr. Horton, could you send out, if we ask for the PowerPoint
Yeah.
through email, you'll send it out for us?
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah. Send it to drwillhorton@gmail.com and I'll send you the PowerPoint. And this will be posted on Facebook later and YouTube.
Huh.
So,
Excellent. This was really excellent. Excellent.
All right.
Yes.
Yeah, Dr. Will and everyone, I just want to for me, because I am a highly empathic, but I learned a couple things over the years. I've been doing a lot of inner work on myself and getting ready to launch my hypnosis practice. I really embrace that being empathic and highly intuitive is really a gift. I don't shut it out, and I do. And even being an empathic now, I have a choice on how I respond or react, or if I have to excuse myself just to get out and walk away from some negative or harsh energy. I give myself permission to do that. And then I do find, like you say, setting boundaries are so important. I've always struggled with that, but it actually is more freeing and gives me a little bit more freedom because I choose, I don't always have to absorb everyone's energy or, so I really resonate with the presentation today and everyone's experiences. So thank you very much.
Yeah. And like people say, you know, I can have empathy for your fear, but I don't have to live in your fear.
Exactly.
Oh, yeah.
You know? Yeah. So cool. Anything else from anyone? Hey, Mary Beth, how are you?
Sorry, I was muted. I'm good. How are you?
Good. Now you're in Are you in Pennsylvania?
Ohio.
Oh, I was close. So you're
Well,
over. Yeah,
We're
yeah. You're
flooding. We're drowning. It's pouring. We're getting your hurricane weather, only it's in Ohio.
without the sunshine and the warmth.
Yes.
Seems that weather has come to Wisconsin as well.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. That's why I left. Yeah. So, all right, everyone. And
All right, keep them coming, Will.
yeah, I'll
Thank
probably do
you.
another
Good
one.
job.
Saturday, I'm doing one on addictions, how to use NLP and hypnosis to treat addictions. I'll repost that. If anybody, and again, that one may have a pitch at the end, but you know, hey, I'm a business man. I'm a business man. I'm a business man, and a business man has to have business. So the first rule is to get some business. That's politically incorrect, but you know, hey, let's have some fun with this. And you guys like my shirt? Recovery is possible.
Yes.
Oh, I do.
Because it could be addictions, it could be codependency, it could be working with narcissists, it could be your health, it could be all kinds of things.
Oh, I love it.
Nice.
Yeah, and actually, this comes from a group. There's it was an AA recovery group that we started 20-something years ago, and it's still going on, and they're having a fundraiser, so I bought the T-shirt. So I told the person, I bought a whole bunch of them. I said, I'm stealing that. Recovery is possible. It's going to become my new tagline, you know. So,
Love it.
so all right, everyone.
Take care.
See
Thank
you later.
you.
Have a great day.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.